So every day you hear people say that they can't get into cybersecurity because they don't have experience. I'm going to annoy some people by saying this, but no experience isn't really the problem. Knowing the order of your path is the problem. So here's the path. I have 5 steps that I use. And if you do them in the right sequence, no experience stops being a wall and starts being a starting point. And I'm the one that would know. I actually started my career with zero computer experience. I was working as an office clerk, and I wasn't allowed to get into admin access and work on computers and things like that. So this is my roadmap that I'm going to present to you and what I would follow in the year 2026. So here's why most people stay stuck. They they try to jump straight into cybersecurity roles. They see a job that says cybersecurity analyst, they apply for the job, they don't get anything back, and then they decide that the career field is gate kept, impossible to get into. It's not really gate kept, it's more sequenced. Cybersecurity is almost never your first position, never your first job. It's maybe your second or third. The people who get in fastest aren't the ones who tried to skip the line. They're the ones who climbed the rungs of the ladder on purpose. So let me give you the 5 rungs. This is the cybersecurity career ladder, and it's the same path that I utilized and that I was able to climb. So before getting into security, you need to understand what you're actually securing. That means the boring stuff nobody wants to hear, how networks work, how operating systems work, basic IT stuff, what port is DNS, what is DNS, what's the difference between TCP and UDP. So these are the basic things that you really need to know. And it's not really boring. It's interesting fundamentals that you can really get excited to when you're first starting out. The good news is that this rung is almost very free. CompTIA A plus is a certification, Network Plus, free materials are out there. Professor Messer on YouTube. You don't really need a boot camp to learn this. You just need a few months and really good discipline to do the studying and to work on um, gaining this information. The mistake here is skipping it because it's not really exciting. It's not hacking. It's not cybersecurity. Don't skip this step. Everyone who skips this foundation hits a wall about a year in and can't figure out why. So here's the rung that's going to upset some people. Your first job is probably going to be help desk, desktop support, service desk, whatever you want to call it, not really cybersecurity. And I need you to hear me on this. This is correct. It's not a failure, it's just a door you enter into. I had to do it. Almost everyone that's really good in cybersecurity has to learn the fundamentals and has to enter in through this door or some version of it. The help desk is where you stop being someone who read about IT, but you start being someone who's actually done it. Who maybe you're under pressure, a user is yelling at you, things like that. So this is also the step where the clock starts on the most important thing you can do while you're in a help desk or service desk type of role, your hands-on experience. A year in help desk is where you can go out of your way to touch security adjacent work. If something comes up about patching, if something comes up about learning how to secure or harden your systems, your desktops, go out of your way to learn this, gain the certs that you need while you're in this help desk type of position. So now you layer security on top. This is where your Security Plus certification comes in. This is a cert that gets you past the resume filter for some type of security roles and for a lot of government work that these types of certifications are required for. So you get it here while you're in help desk, not really before. The certification means a lot more when you're sitting on top of real IT work and real IT knowledge that you're gaining at the help desk. But the cert is only the half of it. The other half is your hands-on proof that you know what you're talking about. So build yourself a home lab, spin up some virtual machines, break things, fix them, try some online help like try Hack Me or Hack the Box, and actually document what you're doing. Here's the secret most people miss. The home lab isn't just about learning, it's content for your resume. It's the thing you talk about when you're in the interview, when they ask you what you've actually done. So that's what actually goes into your interview. This is rung 4. It's the thing you talk about in the interview when they ask you what you've actually done, which is exactly what rung 4 is. So you have the foundation, you have an IT job, you have some certs going on, you maybe have Security Plus and the other two A plus and Network Plus, but you're still getting zero callbacks. That's because nobody's seeing any of this. Rung 4 is where you make your experience visible and legible to the person doing the hiring. That's your resume, your LinkedIn, your portfolio. Your resume needs to mirror the language of the job postings. If the posting says SIM and you've touched SIM, then the word SIM had better be on your resume because half the time a machine is what's reading your resume before a human ever does. Your LinkedIn needs to say what you're actually doing, what you're going for, and even show and demonstrate the portfolio that is your home lab, any write-ups you have to see what you've actually done. I have a whole video coming up on resume piece, so that's where we're going to talk a lot more about that. Rung 5 is the job, and it's usually one of three doors: a SOC analyst role, a security analyst role, or GRC. GRC meaning governance, risk, and compliance, which most people sleep on, but it's one of the most accessible ways to get into career field. But I have to give you the 2026 update because the map has changed. For years, everyone has aimed at these two targets: SOC analyst and penetration tester. And right now, these areas are really flooded, really competitive. On top of that, a lot of the entry-level SOC work is being automated. So if you have tunnel vision on these two jobs, you're walking right into a crowd. It's going to be a little bit difficult. The smarter targets on this rung right now are the doors most people walk in, and that's GRC, cloud security, identity access management. Less competition, there is real demand there, and the field is short on people on all three. So I've got some full videos coming up on those because they might be the single most important thing that I tell you. The rung is the same, just aim at the door that's actually open. So notice you didn't start here, you arrived here, standing on the four rungs you built deliberately. That's the difference between the people who get in and the people who spend 2 years frustrated and convinced it's impossible. Now here's what I want to leave you with in this video because it's bigger than any single rung. Across all five of these rungs, the people who move the fastest up have one thing in common, and it's not talent, it's not money, it's what they actually did, the work they did before they had that title. On the help desk, they volunteered for any security adjacent type of work, type of projects. They built a lab at home before anyone asked. They asked the people who work in security, coworkers or people in other departments, how they learned. They made friends with them and asked how they were able to progress um, in their careers. And if you happen to have a security clearance from the military or government, understand that the clearance itself can jump you forward a rung or two because there's an entire world of work that's locked out to everyone who doesn't have one. And we're going to talk about that on a separate video. So this roadmap is the map. The next videos are the turn by turn, but there's a trap waiting on this ladder that stops most qualified people cold. They do everything right and they're still not getting anything. They're still getting rejections. So subscribe because we're going to discuss all that. We're going to break it down exactly why you're getting rejected for cybersecurity jobs, even when you're qualified. And that's almost never because of your skills. So let's get started on this first rung.